What if just one book, one core idea could, fundamentally shift your perspective, propel you towards a better life?
It's a powerful thought.
Yeah, and today we're plunging into a work that's often called a life-altering masterpiece, a book that's guided millions towards, well, being more effective.
And honestly, if you really absorb what we're about to explore, it genuinely could be a pivotal moment.
Absolutely. A truly great book isn't just words on a page, is it?
No, not at all. It's more like a distillation of profound insights. It's like having a direct channel to years, maybe decades of wisdom.
Like sitting down for a conversation with a genius who's figured some things out.
Exactly. Someone who shares secrets wrapped in words, you could say. That's the potential hidden in some books. Real transformative potential.
We talk about books being valuable, but some.
Yeah.
They're worth more than just information, aren't they? They can change who you are.
They absolutely can. They can reshape how you operate in the world.
So our aim today, it's pretty straightforward, but also ambitious. We want to break down this incredibly influential book.
Using simple language, right?
Simple language, powerful examples, and real-life applications, things you can actually do.
That's the key, isn't it? Not just understanding intellectually, but actually living these principles.
Exactly, because knowledge on its own, well, doesn't do much. It's the application that sparks real change.
Yeah, this isn't just an academic discussion. We want to pull out the core insights, make them really applicable so you see tangible results.
Right. Think about people who consistently hit their goals, who navigate life's curveballs well. They often learn from others, often through books like this.
They have that habit of seeking out wisdom.
And today, you're joining that pursuit. So let's dive right in. The book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
A classic for a reason.
Absolutely. And over the next, well, quite a while, we're going to explore each of these 7 habits one by one. Let's kick things off with habit 1, be proactive.
Okay.
The book presents this as the absolute foundation, the bedrock of success, all built on one core idea. You are responsible for your life.
Yeah, that idea of proactivity is fundamental. It really sets the stage for everything else that follows.
And the book draws a really stark contrast, doesn't it, between being proactive and being, well, reactive.
It does. And understanding that difference is probably the first big takeaway.
Okay, let's break that down. What does being reactive actually look like?
Well, according to the source material, reactive people tend to blame external factors. Things go wrong and it's always something or someone else's fault.
Like I failed the test because the teacher hates me, or I didn't get the promotion because my boss plays favorite.
Exactly. Or just life's unfair. The feeling is that they're controlled by circumstances, that life is just happening to them.
We all know that feeling, or know people who operate like that. It's easy to fall into. So what's the proactive alternative?
Proactive people, on the other hand, they take ownership. They own their actions and, crucially, their responses.
So if they fail the exam,
They look inward. Okay, I didn't study enough, or I need to understand this topic better. If they miss the promotion, what skills do I need to develop? Or how can I show my value more effectively?
and if they're just generally unhappy,
They ask, what can I do to change my situation? The focus shifts entirely. From blame outwards to responsibility inwards.
it's about focusing on what you can control,
Yeah.
which is primarily your response, right?
Yeah.
Even when things outside your control happen.
Precisely. That's the core insight. Even when circumstances are difficult, your reaction is yours to choose.
That's a huge shift in thinking. The book uses a great little story to illustrate this, doesn't it? 2 friends, James and Daniel.
Yeah, it's a simple but effective illustration. James, the reactive guy, hits snooze multiple times.
We've all been there.
Right. Then he scrolls social media, feels rushed, stressed, gets stuck in traffic, blames the traffic for being late, blames his boss for being annoyed.
His whole morning is just one reaction after another.
Exactly. He's just bounced around by external events. Now, Daniel, the proactive one,
How does his morning look?
he wakes up intentionally, maybe exercises, maybe plans his day, leaves with enough time. If he hits traffic, okay, it's annoying. But he's calm because he controlled what he could, his preparation, his departure time.
Same traffic jam, totally different internal experience.
Totally different. The external event is identical, but the internal response, the ownership, changes everything.
And the book is pretty clear. Which approach leads to better outcomes? Daniel's taking charge. So how do we start cultivating this? How can you, listening now, become more proactive?
Well, the very first step, and it sounds simple, but it's crucial, is deciding to stop blaming. Just catch yourself when you start pointing fingers outward.
Recognize that moment of deflection.
Yes, that's where you start taking your power back. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's essential.
Okay, stop the blame game. What's next?
Second, actively take responsibility. Ask yourself that powerful question, what can I do to make this better?
That shifts the focus immediately, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From problem to solution.
Instantly, it puts you back in the driver's seat. And the third step is about consciously controlling your reactions.
So things will still happen.
Absolutely. Bad news, criticism, unexpected problems, those things are often outside your control. But how you respond, that's 100% within your control.
It's about that pause, isn't it? That space between stimulus and response Kevy talks about.
Exactly. In that space lies your freedom, your power to choose a proactive response instead of a knee-jerk reaction.
So mastering this isn't just a small tweak. The book suggests it's foundational.
Absolutely. It's the bedrock. If you're stuck in reactive mode, the other habits, they just won't stick properly. It's about moving from being a passenger in your life to being the pilot.
Okay, that sets us up perfectly for habit 2. Begin with the end in mind.
Right.
This one's all about having a crystal clear vision for your life. The book asks that really pointed question. If you don't know where you are going, how will you ever reach success?
It sounds obvious, but think about how often we just drift. We get caught up in the day-to-day without a clear destination in mind.
Like setting off on a road trip with no map and no idea where you want to end up.
Exactly. That's the analogy the book uses. You'd never do that for a holiday, right? You'd plan the route, figure out where you're staying.
You'd have a destination.
You'd have a destination. Yet so many people navigate their lives like that aimless road trip. Work, home, repeat, without asking, what's the ultimate goal here? What do I really want?
That's a sobering thought.
Mm.
It's easy to get lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
So how do we fix that? The book talks about everything being created twice. What does that mean?
Yes. The two creations. This is central to habit 2. The first creation is mental. It's the idea, the blueprint, the vision in your mind.
Like an architect designing a building first?
Precisely. Or a founder envisioning their company before it exists. Or you picturing what success looks like for you. That mental creation has to come first.
And the second creation?
That's the physical creation, the actual building, the functioning company, the achieved goal. It's the manifestation of that mental blueprint in reality.
So if the mental picture is fuzzy or non-existent?
Then the physical reality will likely be chaotic, inefficient, or just not what you truly wanted. You need that clear mental image first.
The book gives the example of Cristiano Ronaldo, doesn't it?
Yeah, how even as a kid, he apparently told people he'd be the best footballer in the world. That wasn't just a dream. It was a clear endpoint driving his every action, every training session.
That's a powerful example of a clear vision fueling present effort. But what if your end in mind isn't quite so grand or singular? How do we apply this?
Well, the first step is just defining your goals more clearly across different areas: career, family, health, personal growth.
So not just, I want to be successful, but
I want to become a skilled surgeon, or I want to build a business that helps people, or I want to write a novel. Get specific. What does that endpoint actually look like?
define the destination clearly.
Okay.
Then what?
Then visualize it regularly. Spend a few minutes each day really imagining achieving those goals. What does it feel like? What do you see, hear? Make it vivid.
Keeping that mental picture sharp and motivating.
Exactly. And third, make decisions based on that vision. Does this opportunity, this activity, move you closer to your defined end? If not, maybe it's a distraction.
So it helps you filter out the unimportant stuff, be more intentional with your time and energy.
Precisely. And there's a really profound exercise the book suggests. The funeral exercise.
Right. Imagining your own funeral. That sounds intense.
It is a bit sobering, yeah. But the idea is to think about what you'd want people to say about you. What legacy do you want to leave? What kind of person do you want to be remembered as?
It forces you to think about your core values, doesn't it? What really matters beyond the day-to-day.
It cuts right to the heart of it. What kind of life do you need to live now to become the person you want to be remembered as then?
Wow. Okay. So habit 2 gives you clarity, purpose, direction.
Yeah. You stop just reacting and start actively designing your life based on what truly matters to you. You become the creator of your own future.
Which leads nicely into habit 3. Put first things first. This is where the planning meets action, right?
Exactly. This is about execution, discipline, living out habits 1 and 2 day by day.
And the book uses that brilliant visual aid, the glass jar. Can you remind us how that works?
Sure. Imagine you have an empty glass jar. Next to it, you have some big rocks, some smaller pebbles, some sand, and some water. The challenge is to fit everything into the jar.
Okay.
If you start by pouring in the sand and water, then the pebbles, you'll find there's no room left for the big rocks. They just won't fit.
Right, the small stuff fills it up too quickly.
But if you put the big rocks in first,
Then the pebbles can go in around them.
exactly, the pebbles fill the gaps. Then you pour in the sand, which fills the smaller gaps. And finally, the water fills the rest. Everything fits.
That's such a great metaphor for time management and priorities. The big rocks are.
The most important things: your health, key relationships, your major goals and dreams, personal growth, the things that have the biggest long-term impact.
And the pebbles.
Still important, but less crucial. Maybe routine tasks, daily admin, errands, things that need doing but aren't your absolute top priorities.
And the sand and water are the distractions.
Pretty much. Endless social media scrolling, unimportant emails, gossip, trivial tasks. The stuff that eats up time but doesn't really move the needle on what matters most.
And the traps, the book says, is that most of us fill our jars with sand and water first.
Yeah, we get caught up in the urgent but unimportant stuff, the distractions, and then we wonder why we never have time for the big rocks, for exercise, for family, for working on our dreams.
We feel busy, but not productive on the things that truly count.
Precisely. Highly effective people, they flip it, they put the big rocks in first, they prioritize ruthlessly.
This connects to the idea of important versus urgent, doesn't it? The Eisenhower matrix idea.
Absolutely. Tasks generally fall into 4 categories based on urgency and importance. Many people get caught in the urgent but not important quadrant.
Like constantly reacting to emails, phone calls, other people's demands.
Right. These things feel pressing, they demand attention now, but they often don't contribute to your major goals. They keep you busy, maybe, but not necessarily effective.
So where should we be focusing?
On the important but not urgent quadrant, this is where the real leverage is.
What kinds of things fall in there?
Exercise, planning, building relationships, learning new skills, working on long-term projects or goals. These are the big rocks.
But they often don't have immediate deadlines, so they get pushed aside.
Exactly. That's the danger. The urgent screams for attention while the important whispers. Successful people learn to schedule the important. They make appointments with themselves for these activities.
Like blocking out time for the gym, or for strategic thinking, or for family dinner.
Yes. They don't wait until they have time. They make time for the big rocks first.
The book contrasts John and David's mornings again here, right?
It does. John grabs his phone first thing, gets sucked into notifications, social media, reactive mode from the start, lots of sand and water.
His morning slips away before he's even really started on anything meaningful.
Whereas David starts intentionally. Maybe exercise, reading, planning, working on a key project. He puts a big rock in his jar right away.
And you can see how, over time, those different approaches would lead to vastly different results.
Absolutely. John feels busy, David makes progress. So, practically speaking, how do you apply habit 3? First step, identify your big rocks.
Get really clear on what those are for you. Your health, your key goals, your most important relationships. Write them down.
Yes. Then, second step, schedule them. Put them in your calendar first before it fills up with other people's urgencies.
Treat those appointments with yourself as seriously as you treat an important meeting with someone else.
Exactly. And the third crucial piece, learn to say no.
Say no to the distractions, to the things that aren't your big rocks.
Yes. Say no to requests, activities, or urgent tasks that don't align with your priorities. Protect your time and energy for what truly matters. Mastering this habit, the book argues, makes you almost unstoppable.
Because you're consistently focusing on the highest leverage activities. Okay, moving to habit 4. Think win-win.
Right. This one's about our interactions with others.
It starts by contrasting win-win with the scarcity mindset. What's that about?
The scarcity mindset is basically the belief that there's only so much to go around. Like, life is a fixed pie.
So if someone else gets a big slice, that means less for me.
Exactly. It leads to competition, comparison, jealousy, insecurity. Someone else's success feels like your loss.
That sounds like a pretty stressful way to live.
It really is. Win-win, on the other hand, is based on an abundance mindset.
The idea that there's plenty for everyone.
Yes. That success isn't limited. That one person's gain doesn't have to mean another person's loss. There's enough opportunity, enough success, enough happiness to go around.
The book uses sunlight and knowledge as examples of abundance, right?
Yeah. Simple but powerful. Does someone else enjoying the sunshine mean there's less sun for you? Of course not. Does sharing knowledge mean you now have less? No. Often sharing deepens understanding for everyone.
So win-win taps into that idea. Success isn't zero-sum.
Not at all. The book then talks about different ways people approach interactions. First, there's win-lose.
That sounds like the scarcity mindset in action. I win, you lose.
Pretty much. Focused only on getting what they want, even if it's at someone else's expense. Fairness isn't the priority. Winning is.
Not great for relationships long-term, I imagine.
Definitely not. Then there's the opposite. Lose-win.
So you win, I lose. Like being a doormat.
Sort of. It's about prioritizing others' wants and needs over your own consistently, sacrificing yourself, letting others take advantage, not standing up for yourself.
That doesn't sound healthy either. It can lead to resentment.
Exactly. It might seem nice or accommodating, but it's not sustainable or effective. Which brings us to win-win.
Where the goal is.
Mutual benefit. Finding solutions where everyone involved feels like they've gained something, where everyone's needs are considered. It's cooperative, not competitive.
The group project example illustrates this well.
It does. The win-lose person tries to hog the credit, do less work, maybe undermine others. The team suffers, resentment builds.
Whereas the win-win approach
Encourages everyone, divides tasks fairly, celebrates shared success. Everyone feels valued, contributes their best, and the outcome is usually far better for everyone.
and the book stresses the long-term benefits of win-win are huge.
Absolutely massive. Stronger relationships, better trust, powerful networks, sustainable success. Think about a win-win boss. They help their team grow, and the team becomes loyal and productive. A win-win business owner focuses on customer value, and customers keep coming back.
While win-lose might get short-term gains but burns bridges.
Exactly. It's short-sighted. So how do we cultivate this win-win thinking?
What are the practical steps?
First, consciously stop competing in areas where collaboration makes more sense. Recognize success isn't limited. Second, actively look for mutual benefit. Ask, how can we both win here?
Shift from me versus you to us versus the problem.
Perfect way to put it. Third, genuinely support others. Helping others succeed often creates opportunities for your own success. It builds goodwill and collaboration.
And finally,
Reframe your whole view. Life isn't a battlefield. It's a space to create opportunities together. Adopt win-win, and you get richer relationships, more success, and frankly, a more fulfilling life.
okay, that leads us to habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This feels crucial for communication.
Absolutely critical. The book argues that the biggest failure in relationships, business, life often comes down to poor listening, not truly understanding each other.
And it highlights a key difference. Listening to reply versus listening to understand.
Yes. Most people, when someone else is talking, they're not really listening. They're just waiting for their turn to speak, formulating their own argument in their head.
Thinking about what they want to say next.
Exactly. Effective people flip that. They make a real effort to deeply understand the other person's point of view first before they even think about presenting their own.
The doctor analogy here is really strong.
It is. Imagine going to a doctor saying, I'm in pain, and the doctor just immediately writes a prescription without asking where it hurts, how it started, what it feels like.
That would be malpractice. You need a diagnosis before a prescription.
Precisely. Yet we do this all the time in conversation. We jump in with advice, judgments, solutions, our own stories, before we've truly diagnosed the other person's situation or feelings.
We prescribe before we understand. That's a powerful image.
It really is. The book then outlines 4 levels of listening. The lowest is ignoring listening.
Not paying attention at all.
Pretty much. Maybe pretending to listen, but your mind is elsewhere. Then there's selective listening.
Only hearing the bits that interest you.
Yeah, tuning in and out based on what catches your attention or fits your agenda. Above that is attentive listening.
This is where you're actually hearing the words being said.
Yes, you're paying attention to the words, but you might be missing the deeper meaning, the emotions, the nonverbal cues. You're listening with your ears, maybe, but not fully engaged.
So the highest level is,
Empathic listening. This is the goal.
what does that involve?
It's listening with the intent to understand deeply. Not just the words, but the feelings, the perspective, the meaning behind the words. Trying to see the world through the other person's eyes.
Putting yourself in their shoes.
Exactly. It's listening with your ears, eyes, and heart. Understanding the why behind what they're saying. The book stresses we need to move beyond just attentive listening to truly practice empathy.
The example of the teenager wanting to drop out of school really hits this home.
It does. So the teen says, I hate school, I'm dropping out. The reactive parent, not seeking to understand, might immediately jump to,
That's ridiculous.
No.
Don't be stupid. You'll ruin your life.
right, judgment, advice, criticism, shuts the conversation down immediately, doesn't find out the real problem.
But the parent practicing habit 5.
They'd pause, they'd try to understand. They might say something like, wow, you sound really upset about school. Tell me what's going on, help me understand.
Creating space for the teen to actually talk.
Exactly, and then maybe the real reasons come out: bullying, struggling with the subject, feeling lonely. Once you understand the real issue, then you can actually help effectively.
It turns a potential fight into a chance to connect and solve the real problem.
Totally. So how do we practice this? First, listen with the intent to understand, not reply. Consciously put your own agenda aside.
Be fully present.
Yes. Second, really try to see it from their perspective. What might they be feeling? Why might they see it that way? Practice empathy.
And third,
Ask clarifying questions, open-ended questions. Tell me more about that. What makes you feel that way? How did that affect you? Encourage them to elaborate.
instead of assuming you know or jumping in with solutions.
All right. Seek first to understand. The book emphasizes how transformative this is. When people feel truly heard, trust skyrockets, relationships deepen, influence grows. It's powerful stuff.
Okay, let's move to habit 6, Synergize. The book calls this the secret of unstoppable teams and extraordinary success, the core idea being the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. It's about creative cooperation, recognizing that when different people brought their unique perspectives and strengths together, the result can be something far beyond what any one person could achieve alone.
The analogy used is simple but effective moving a big rock.
Yeah. One person trying to push a huge boulder might get nowhere. Two people trying separately might still struggle, but if they coordinate, push together at the same time in the same direction,
Suddenly, the rock moves easily.
right, their combined, coordinated effort, that's synergy. It creates something greater than just adding their individual strengths. 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or more.
It's not just addition, it's multiplication.
That's a great way to put it, but the book also points out why synergy often doesn't happen. Why do people struggle with this?
Well, there's that desire to work alone, right?
Right.
The if you want something done right, do it yourself mentality.
That's a big one. Also, lack of trust in others, maybe ego, or just not seeing the value in different perspectives, thinking your way is the only way.
That sounds limiting.
Very limiting. The book talks about 3 levels of maturity in this context. Dependent people.
They rely on others, maybe blame others, lack initiative.
Right. Then independent people.
Self-reliant, confident, get things done on their own, often seen as the ideal.
Often, yes, they're capable. But they might think they don't need others. They might miss out on the power of collaboration.
So the highest level isn't independence.
According to Covey, no. The highest level is interdependence.
What does that look like?
Interdependent people are strong individually, and they recognize the power of teamwork. They know they can achieve more with others. They're confident enough to collaborate, share ideas, value differences.
So the goal isn't just to be independent, but to become effectively interdependent.
That's the key insight. Independence is good, but interdependence is where the magic of synergy happens.
The house building analogy makes this clear too.
Yeah. Try building a house entirely by yourself. Plumbing, electrical, framing, roofing. It would take forever. And the quality probably wouldn't be great unless you're a master of all trades, which is rare.
But bring together a team architect, builder, plumber, electrician.
And you get a much better house built much faster. Each person brings their expertise. That's synergy in action.
And we see this in successful companies all the time. Apple, SpaceX.
Absolutely. Those achievements weren't down to just one person. They were the result of incredible teamwork, diverse talents coming together, synergizing around a common vision. Every major breakthrough usually involves synergy.
So how can we foster more synergy in our own lives, our work?
First, actively seek out people whose strengths complement your weaknesses. Don't just work with people who are like you.
Embrace diversity.
Yes. Second, genuinely value different perspectives. See disagreements not as problems, but as opportunities to find better, more creative solutions. Respect differences.
And third,
Apply that win-win mindset, habit 4, to your collaborations. Ensure partnerships are mutually beneficial, fostering trust and shared success. Remember, you can achieve vastly more together than you ever could alone.
that's a powerful principle. Okay, finally, habit 7, sharpen the saw. This sounds like it's about maintenance.
It is. It's about self-renewal. The analogy is the woodcutter.
Right, the guy cutting down trees. Tell us about him.
He starts cutting with a sharp saw, making good progress. But as he keeps cutting, The saw gets duller and duller. He has to work harder and harder, pushing with more effort, but he's cutting less and less efficiently.
He's exhausted and frustrated, getting diminishing returns.
Exactly. What's the obvious solution?
Stop cutting for a bit and sharpen the saw.
Right. Take time out to maintain the tool so it works effectively again. A little time invested in sharpening saves massive effort and time later.
But the book says most people don't do this for themselves.
Sadly, no. We often get caught in the busyness trap. We keep pushing, working harder, getting more tired, less effective, without taking time for renewal. We neglect to sharpen our own saw.
So sharpening the saw for us means
It means taking care of yourself across 4 key dimensions: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's about investing in your own well-being so you can perform at your best long-term.
okay, let's break those down. Physical renewal.
Taking care of your body, it's your vehicle through life. Like maintaining a car, neglect it, and it breaks down.
So this is exercise, nutrition, sleep.
Exactly. Move your body regularly, even just walking. Eat food that fuels you well. Get enough rest. Sleep is crucial for recharge. Ignore these, and your energy, focus, and health suffer. Everything else becomes harder.
Makes sense. What about mental renewal?
This is about keeping your mind sharp, engaged, growing. Like tending a garden, neglect it, and weeds take over.
So how do we sharpen the mental saw?
Read books, learn new things, challenge your assumptions, stay curious, keep learning throughout life. Avoid mental stagnation. The world changes fast. You need to keep adapting and growing mentally.
Okay. Third area, emotional renewal.
This is about nurturing your relationships and your inner emotional state. Managing stress, building connections. We're social creatures. We need connection.
And in today's world, it's easy to feel disconnected sometimes.
Very easy. So emotional renewal involves spending quality time with loved ones, practicing forgiveness, letting go of baggage, surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people, and managing your own emotional responses healthily. A healthy heart makes for a strong heart.
Right. And the final dimension, spiritual renewal. What does that encompass?
This isn't necessarily religious, though it can be. It's about connecting to your deeper purpose, your values, what gives your life meaning beyond just day-to-day tasks.
Finding that sense of inner peace and direction.
Exactly. True success isn't just about money or status, it's about fulfillment. We see wealthy people who are deeply unhappy because they lack this dimension.
So how do we nurture this?
Spending time in quiet reflection or meditation, doing things that feel meaningful, helping others, creating something, connecting with nature, living in alignment with your core values, your integrity, this builds inner strength.
The book uses a phone battery analogy too, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. You can have the best smartphone in the world, amazing features, but if the battery's dead,
Yeah.
it's useless.
Same with us. We can have potential, goals, skills, but if we're burnt out, depleted.
We can't function effectively. Sharpening the saw in all 4 areas keeps your battery charged. It's what makes sustained high performance possible. It underpins all the other habits.
So it's not selfish to take time for self-care. It's essential for effectiveness.
Absolutely essential. It's the habit that makes all the other habits possible over the long run. Tailor it.
Precisely. Think of it as a guided tour through some powerful thinking.
Yeah, we're here to highlight the key landmarks, help you get the lay of the land, and crucially, give you some tools you can actually use, like right away.
So the book we're diving into, it's Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Ah, a classic. And for good reason.
Definitely not just another self-help book, is it? This one's a heavyweight. It's known globally, changed the game for millions of people, personally and professionally.
Its reputation is massive. It really has stood the test of time.
So we're kind of having a conversation with Covey's ideas here, digging into the secrets he shared.
And the amazing thing is how relevant those secrets, those principles, still are today.
Yeah.
In our, crazy, fast-paced world, this stuff holds up.
It really does. So our mission over the next little while is to unpack each of these 7 habits. We'll use simple language, try to find powerful examples.
Real-life stuff.
Yeah, real-life applications. The focus is totally on understanding these principles deeply, but also, crucially, living them.
Because that's the key, isn't it? Bridging that gap between knowing something and actually doing it, that's where the change happens.
Exactly. We want to translate these big ideas into steps you can actually take.
Practical steps.
So yeah, buckle up. We're going through all 7, one by one, building a complete picture for you.
A really solid framework.
Yeah.
And you'll see how they all connect, how each habit supports the others. It's quite elegant, actually.
It is. Okay, let's jump in. Habit 1, be proactive.
The foundation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is really about understanding that you are the driver in your own life. You're in charge. It's about taking ownership, isn't it?
It is. It's about responsibility. Recognizing that you have the power to choose your response, no matter what happens to you.
It's a fundamental mindset shift, moving away from feeling like a victim of circumstances
Right, like you're just being pushed around by life.
to seeing yourself as the creator, the architect of your own experience.
Exactly. External stuff will always happen, pressures, events, other people. But proactivity is about that internal choice of how you react based on your values.
Covey draws a really clear line between reactive and proactive people. Reactive folks, they tend to blame everything outside themselves, don't they?
Oh, yeah. It's the traffic's fault. It's my boss's fault. It's the way I was raised. It's the economy. Always something external.
You can almost hear it in their language. Things like, I have to do this, or they make me feel angry, or that's just the way I am.
Exactly. It's language that gives away power. It suggests you're not in control. You're just being acted upon.
Whereas proactive people, they get that they can't control everything out there, but they absolutely control their response in here.
Yes. So if something goes wrong, their first instinct is internal. Okay, what was my part in this? What can I do about it now? How can I influence this going forward?
They operate from their values, not just their feelings or the situation. They make conscious choices.
That internal locus of control is key. Principles over moods or pressures.
The book uses this great contrast, James and Daniel. James, the reactive guy, hits snooze, rushes, gets mad at traffic, blames the traffic for being late.
Gets defensive when the boss calls him out.
Exactly. His whole mood, his whole day is just a reaction to stuff happening to him. He feels powerless.
Constantly putting out fires, never getting ahead of things. It sounds exhausting, frankly.
Totally. Then there's Daniel. Proactive, wakes up intentionally, maybe exercises, plans his route.
Leaves on time, anticipates traffic.
Right. So when he hits the same traffic jam, maybe he's still delayed, but he's calmer, he prepared mentally, maybe physically, he adjusts. It doesn't ruin his day.
He takes it in stride. He built a buffer through his proactivity. Less stress, more control, more energy for what actually matters.
And you can just see how, long-term, Daniel's going to be more effective, probably happier too.
Almost inevitable, isn't it? That proactive stance makes such a difference over time.
So for you listening, how do you actually start being more proactive? Where do you begin?
Well, the book gives some really concrete starting points. First, pay attention to your language. Just notice when you slip into blaming.
Catch yourself saying, I can't, or if only.
Exactly. And try to consciously reframe it. Instead of, they make me so mad, maybe I'm choosing to feel frustrated, but what can I do? Focus on your own agency.
That takes real self-awareness, though.
It does. It's a practice. Catching yourself in the moment. Okay, wait, what's my responsibility here? What can I influence?
Second point, focus on solutions, not just problems or blame.
Right. Instead of getting stuck on whose fault it is, ask, okay, what can I do right now to make this even a tiny bit better? Take initiative.
Even if you didn't cause the problem initially.
Especially then, sometimes. It shows leadership. It shows responsibility. It's about moving forward, not getting stuck.
And the third one, this feels huge. Control your reactions.
This is the core of it, really.
You can't stop people saying things or unexpected stuff happening. But that gap, that space between the event and your response, that's where your power lies.
That pause. It might only be a split second, but in that space, you can choose. Choose based on your values, not just react emotionally.
Think about that. If you consistently chose thoughtful responses instead of just, knee-jerk reactions.
Imagine the impact on your relationships, your work, your stress levels.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Foundational, like you said.
Truly transformative. You stop being a cork bobbing on the waves and start actually steering the ship. You shape your life instead of just letting it happen to you.
Okay, that leads us nicely into habit 2.
Yeah.
Begin with the end in mind.
Ah, the vision habit.
Yeah, it sounds maybe a bit grand at first, but it's incredibly practical, isn't it? It's about knowing where you're actually trying to go.
Exactly. Like planning that road trip we mentioned. You wouldn't just start driving randomly, hoping you end up somewhere good. You need a destination.
You need that clear picture of what success looks like for you in your career, your family life, your health, everything, your personal North Star.
Without that clear endpoint, you can waste so much energy on things that feel busy but don't actually move you closer to what matters most to you.
Covey has this powerful idea. Everything is created twice. First, mentally, then physically.
Right. Think about building a house. It exists first as a detailed blueprint in the architect's mind, and on paper.
Before a single brick is laid.
Exactly, or a successful company. It starts with the founder's vision, their mental picture of what it could be. That mental creation guides the physical creation.
And that first mental creation, the visualization, is critical.
Absolutely. He uses the example of Cristiano Ronaldo. Apparently, from a young age, Ronaldo had this unwavering vision. I will be the best footballer in the world.
Not just a vague wish, but a clear, powerful image he held on to.
And that vision fueled everything. His training, his discipline, his focus. It was the blueprint for his actions. A powerful example of beginning with the end in mind.
So how do we, the rest of us, apply this? How do you start?
First step, define your goals. Get really specific. What does success actually look like for you? Don't just say be happy or be successful. What does that mean in concrete terms?
Different areas of life, career, relationships.
All the important areas, yeah. Specificity is crucial. Vague goals lead to vague results. You need a clear target to aim for.
Okay, so define the goals. Then what?
Visualize it really vividly. Take time each day, maybe just a few minutes, to mentally picture yourself having achieved those goals.
Like a mental movie.
Exactly. What does it feel like? What are you doing? Who's there? Engage your senses. Make it real in your mind.
Why is that so powerful?
It reinforces your commitment, builds belief, helps you anticipate challenges, and keeps that end firmly in mind. It primes your brain for success.
Okay, and then, crucially, you start making decisions based on that vision.
Yes. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
When you face a choice, an opportunity, a demand on your time, ask, does this get me closer to my end in mind?
And if the answer is no,
then you need the courage to say no, or at least not prioritize it. Protect your focus. Don't get pulled off course by things that don't align with your ultimate destination.
it requires discipline.
Significant discipline. It's about filtering everything through the lens of your vision. Is this an investment or a distraction?
Covey offers a really powerful, maybe slightly morbid exercise for clarity here.
Ah, the funeral exercise. Yes.
He asks you to imagine your own funeral. You're there, watching. What do you want people to say about you? Your family, friends, colleagues? What legacy do you want to leave?
It sounds heavy, but it cuts right to the core of your values, doesn't it? It forces you to think about what truly matters in the grand scheme of things, what impact you want to have had.
It provides incredible clarity on your deepest priorities.
Absolutely. It helps you define that end based on your core values, not just societal expectations or fleeting desires.
So consistently doing this, beginning with the end in mind, it just brings so much clarity, right? Purpose, direction.
Immense clarity. You shift from just reacting to life day to day to actively shaping your future based on a clear, compelling vision. You become the architect.
Okay, architecting the future. That leads us to habit 3. But first things first.
Right. This is where the planning meets action. It's about execution.
It sounds like time management, but it's deeper than that, isn't it?
Much deeper. It's really priority management, discipline, living out habits 1 and 2 day by day. It's about focusing on what truly matters, not just what's urgent.
Covey uses that brilliant analogy of the glass jar. Can you walk us through that one?
Sure. Imagine you have an empty glass jar. This represents your time, your capacity. Now you have big rocks, pebbles, sand, and water.
Okay, what do they represent?
The big rocks are your most important things, your health, key relationships, major goals, personal growth, the really crucial stuff from habit 2.
The non-negotiables, ideally.
Exactly. The pebbles are important tasks, but less critical, maybe regular work duties, chores, managing finances, still necessary, but not the absolute top priorities.
And the sand and water.
Sand is the minor stuff, interruptions, some emails, distractions, and the water is just time fillers, maybe mindless scrolling, things that soak up time without adding much value.
Okay, so what's the point of the analogy?
The point is how you fill the jar. If you pour in the sand and water first, if you let the urgent minor stuff fill your day, you'll find there's no room left for the big rocks.
They just won't fit.
Right. But if you put the big rocks in first, deliberately schedule them.
Then the pebbles can fit around them.
Exactly. The pebbles settle in the gaps, then you pour in the sand, and it fills the smaller spaces. And finally, you can even pour in the water. It all fits if you prioritize the big rocks.
That's such a clear visual. Put the most important things in first.
It perfectly illustrates the core principle. Focus your energy on the highest leverage activities.
And this ties into that crucial difference between urgent and important.
Yes. So many people live in the realm of the urgent. Emails dinging, notifications popping up, people demanding things now. It feels productive, but
But it often crowds out the truly important things, right? The things that build long-term success and happiness, but don't necessarily scream for attention right now.
Like exercise, deep work on a key project, quality time with family, strategic thinking, learning. These are often important but not urgent.
Until they become urgent because you've neglected them, maybe. Like a health crisis.
Precisely. The tyranny of the urgent keeps us busy, but prevents us from investing in the things that matter most in the long run.
The book contrasts John and David again here. John gets sucked into the urgent whirlwind emails, notifications, reactive tasks.
Feels busy all day, but maybe doesn't make real progress on his big goals.
Then David starts his day intentionally focusing on his big rocks. Maybe it's exercise, focused work, planning.
He schedules the important stuff first.
And you imagine them after a year. John's probably still spinning his wheels, maybe feeling burnt out. David has likely made significant, tangible progress.
Consistent, focused effort on the right things compounds over time. David is intentionally investing his time. John is just spending it reactively.
Okay, so for you, the listener, wanting to apply habit 3, what's the first step?
Identify your big rocks. What are the 2-3 most important things in your life right now? What activities will give you the biggest return on investment for your long-term goals and well-being?
This connects directly back to habit 2, defining your end in mind.
Absolutely. Your big rocks should flow directly from your core values and most important goals. What are the vital few tasks that drive the most significant results?
Once you know your big rocks, what's next?
Schedule them. Put them in your calendar first. Treat these appointments with yourself as seriously as you treat a meeting with your boss or a key client.
Don't just hope you'll fit them in when you have time.
Because you probably won't. Proactively block out time for your big rocks. Make them non-negotiable.
And then comes the hard part for many people.
Saying no.
Saying no. Saying no to the things that aren't your big rocks, the distractions, the less important demands.
Exactly. If something comes up that doesn't align with your priorities, you need the discipline to politely decline or delegate or defer it. Protect your focus on the big rocks.
Learning to say no effectively is a skill in itself, isn't it?
A crucial one for effectiveness. It's about protecting your time and energy for what truly matters, not being pulled in a million directions by other people's agendas.
Mastering this habit, putting first things first. Covey suggests it gives you a feeling of being, like, unstoppable.
Because you are making consistent progress on what matters most. You're in control, acting on your priorities, not just reacting to the chaos. It's incredibly empowering.
You're driving your day instead of the day driving you.
Precisely. A fundamental shift from reactive to proactive living based on clear priorities.
Okay, powerful stuff. Now, moving from personal management to interacting with others, habit 4, think win-win.
Right. Shifting focus now to interdependence, to our relationships and collaborations.
And this is about adopting a specific mindset in those interactions, isn't it?
Yes, a mindset of mutual benefit, moving away from the idea that for me to win, you have to lose.
That's the scarcity mindset, right? The idea that there's only so much pie to go around.
Exactly. Life is a zero-sum game. If you get a big piece, my piece has to be smaller. Win-lose thinking.
But Covey contrasts this with an abundance mindset.
Right. The belief that there's plenty out there for everyone, success isn't limited. Your success doesn't take away from mine. In fact, maybe we can work together to make the pie bigger for both of us.
He uses those lovely analogies, sunlight and knowledge.
Yeah. Me enjoying the sun doesn't mean there's less sun for you, right?
And sharing knowledge doesn't deplete yours. It often expands it.
Exactly. Win-win operates on that principle. There's enough. We can both benefit.
He talks about 3 types of people based on this. There's win-lose.
The competitive types. I win, you lose. Focused only on their own outcome, often at others' expense.
Then there's lose-win.
The people pleasers, often. You win, I lose. They sacrifice their own needs to keep others happy or avoid conflict. They get walked over.
Neither sounds particularly healthy or sustainable.
Not in the long run. Win-lose breeds resentment and destroys trust. Lose-win leads to burnout and feeling victimized.
So the goal is the 3rd type, win-win.
Yes. Seeking solutions where everyone feels they've gained something. Finding mutual benefit. Looking for the 3rd alternative, maybe. That's better than just my way or your way.
It's about collaboration and fairness.
And respect. Respecting your own needs and the needs of others. Aiming for agreements and relationships that are mutually beneficial and sustainable.
The group project example really highlights this. A win-lose person tries to dominate, take all the credit.
which poisons the team dynamic and probably leads to a worse outcome overall.
Whereas a win-win approach, where everyone collaborates, shares ideas, feels valued.
Leads to better results, stronger relationships, and everyone feeling good about the process and the outcome. Much more effective long term.
Covey points out how win-win leaders, win-win businesses, they ultimately achieve more, don't they?
Absolutely. Focusing on serving customers, empowering employees, building partnerships based on mutual benefit. It creates loyalty, trust, and sustainable success. Pure self-interest often backfires eventually.
So how do we cultivate this win-win mindset? It doesn't always feel like the default setting in our competitive world.
No, it often isn't. First step is consciously challenging that scarcity, win-lose thinking. Stop seeing everything as a competition. Someone else's success isn't your failure.
Celebrate others' wins, maybe.
Yes, see abundance. Recognize that success isn't limited. There's enough opportunity, enough recognition, enough resources to go around, especially if we collaborate.
Second, actively look for mutual benefit in situations.
Right. When you're negotiating, problem solving, even just discussing something, ask, how can we both get what we need here? What would a win look like for them? What would it look like for me? Is there a creative solution?
That requires empathy, understanding their perspective, which links to the next habit, I guess.
It does, very strongly. You have to understand what the other person values and needs to find a true win-win.
And the third piece of advice.
Support others. Genuinely help other people succeed. Be generous with your knowledge, your network, your encouragement.
Because it comes back to you.
Often it does, sometimes in unexpected ways. But even if it doesn't directly, you're building stronger relationships, fostering goodwill, and creating a more positive environment. Helping others win helps you win in the long run. It's the abundance mindset in action.
Thinking win-win. It leads to better results, stronger connections, and just a more fulfilling way to interact with people, doesn't it?
Definitely. It builds trust, fosters collaboration, and ultimately leads to greater, more sustainable success for everyone involved. A much richer way to live and work.
Okay, and you mentioned the link to the next habit, habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yes. This one is absolutely critical for making habits 4 and 6 work. It's the core of effective communication.
And the big idea here is we're usually pretty bad listeners.
Well, often, yes. We listen with the intent to reply, not the intent to understand. We're formulating our argument, our advice, our story while the other person is still talking.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
I think we all are. It's a common human tendency, but it's a major barrier to real connection and effective problem solving.
Covey uses that analogy of the doctor, right? Prescribing medicine without diagnosing the illness first.
Exactly. Imagine going to the doctor saying, I don't feel well, and they immediately write a prescription without asking any questions, without examining you. It's absurd.
Potentially dangerous even.
Right. And yet we do that all the time in conversations. We jump in with solutions and advice before we've truly understood the other person's situation, their feelings, their perspective.
And prescribe before we diagnose.
Precisely. And it leads to misunderstandings, frustration, and people not feeling heard.
He outlines 4 levels of listening. Can you remind us?
Sure. There's ignoring, not really listening at all. Then pretend listening, yeah, right, while thinking about something else.
We've all done that too.
Then selective listening, only hearing parts of the conversation, usually the parts that interest us or we agree with. Then attentive listening, paying attention to the words being said, concentrating on the content.
Which sounds pretty good. Attentive listening.
It's better, for sure. But Covey says the highest level, the one required for true effectiveness, is empathic listening.
Okay, what's the difference between attentive and empathic?
Empathic listening isn't just hearing the words. It's listening with the intent to understand the feelings and the meaning behind the words. It's putting yourself in the other person's shoes, seeing the world through their eyes, feeling what they feel.
Listening with your ears and your heart, as he puts it.
Beautifully put, yes. It's about understanding their paradigm, their frame of reference, without necessarily agreeing with it, but truly getting it.
And most of us operate at attentive listening, maybe, at best.
Often, yes. We hear the facts, but we miss the underlying emotions, the deeper concerns. We filter it through our own biases. Empathic listening requires a conscious effort to set our own stuff aside.
Why is it so crucial?
Because when people feel genuinely heard and understood, really understood, it creates psychological air. It opens them up. It builds trust like nothing else.
And ironically makes them more likely to listen to you afterwards.
Exactly. Once they feel you truly understand their point of view, they become far more receptive to hearing yours. You have to give understanding before you can expect to receive it.
The example of the teenager wanting to drop out of school is powerful
No,
here,
yeah. The reactive parent jumps in immediately. Absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous. You need an education. Lots of prescribing, no diagnosing.
which probably just shuts the kid down.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or makes them defensive. But the parent practicing habit 5 would pause, maybe say, wow, that sounds like a big decision. Tell me more about why you're feeling that way.
Seek first to understand.
Yes. Listen empathically. Maybe the kid is being bullied or feels overwhelmed or has a passion they want to pursue differently. You don't know until you truly listen.
And only after understanding the root cause can you actually have a productive conversation about solutions.
Exactly. That shift from reacting to understanding is game-changing in relationships. It avoids so much conflict and leads to much better outcomes.
So practical steps for us. How do we become better empathic listeners?
First, consciously shift your intent. When someone's talking, tell yourself, my goal is to understand, not to reply. Quiet your own internal monologue. Focus completely on them.
Be fully present.
Yes. Put away distractions. Give them your full attention, verbally and non-verbally.
Second, try to genuinely see it from their perspective.
Put yourself in their shoes. Ask yourself, how might they be feeling? Why do they see it this way? What experiences shape their view? Cultivate that empathy muscle.
Even if you disagree with them.
Especially if you disagree. It's not about agreement. It's about understanding their reality, validating their experience.
And third,
Ask clarifying, deepening questions. Instead of assuming or jumping in, encourage them to elaborate. Tell me more about that. How did that make you feel? What do you mean by it?
open-ended questions that invite more sharing.
Exactly. It shows you're genuinely interested and helps them clarify their own thoughts too sometimes.
Listening with your heart. Covey says it transforms relationships, builds trust, influence.
It really does. It's arguably the most important communication skill there is for building strong, positive connections with people.
Okay, which naturally flows into habit 6, synergize.
Yes, taking all these principles, proactivity, vision, prioritization, win-win, understanding, and bringing them together in creative cooperation.
Synergy, the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
That's the essence of it. 1 + 1 = 3, or 10, or 100. When we combine our strengths and perspectives effectively, we can achieve things impossible for any one of us alone.
Like the example of two people moving a huge rock that neither could move individually.
A simple but perfect illustration. Together, they create a result far beyond their separate capacities. That's synergy.
What stops us from achieving synergy more often? Why do we sometimes fail at it?
Well, often it's that desire to work alone, isn't it? The I can do it better myself mentality. Or maybe a lack of trust.
Not valuing differences, seeing them as a threat instead of a strength.
Exactly. Synergy requires valuing, even celebrating, differences in perspective, skills, and experience. That's where the creative potential lies.
Covey talks about moving from dependence to independence and then finally to interdependence.
Right. Dependence is needing others to get what you want. Independence is relying on yourself. Both have their place. But interdependence is recognizing that we can achieve more together than I can alone. It's a higher level of maturity and effectiveness.
It combines self-reliance with collaboration skills.
Precisely. Understanding that our greatest achievements often come through effective teamwork and partnership.
The house building analogy works well here too. You wouldn't try to be the architect, plumber, electrician, and carpenter all by yourself.
You could try, but it would take forever and the quality probably wouldn't be great. You bring together a team of specialists, each contributing their unique expertise. That synergy creates a well-built house efficiently.
And he mentions great companies, Apple, SpaceX. They're built on teamwork, right? Even with visionary leaders, it's the collective effort.
Absolutely. Major innovations rarely happen in a vacuum. They emerge from diverse teams collaborating, challenging each other, building on each other's ideas. That's synergy in action at a high level.
So how do we foster synergy in our own teams, relationships, projects?
First, consciously seek out people who complement you. Don't just surround yourself with clones. Look for different strengths, different perspectives, different backgrounds. Value that diversity.
See differences as a resource, not a problem.
Exactly. Second, genuinely respect those different viewpoints. Practice habit 5, seek first to understand why they see things differently. Their perspective might hold the key to a breakthrough you wouldn't find on your own.
Treat disagreement as an opportunity for exploration, not conflict.
Yes. Be open, be curious. Assume the other person has a piece of the puzzle you don't.
And third,
Think win-win, habit 4 in your collaborations. Ensure that the goals and rewards are structured so everyone benefits from working together effectively. Create shared purpose and mutual accountability.
when you bring all that together, complementary skills, respect for differences, a win-win approach.
That's when the magic happens. That's when you unlock synergy and achieve results far beyond what any individual could manage. You create something new and better together.
Okay, we've covered the first 6 habits, which build on each other. Now, habit 7, sharpen the saw.
The habit of renewal. This is the one that makes all the others sustainable.
It's about taking time to maintain and enhance yourself, right? So you can keep performing effectively.
Exactly. It's investing in your greatest asset.
Yeah.
If you don't continuously renew yourself, you'll eventually burn out, become ineffective, no matter how good you are at the other habits.
Like the woodcutter analogy you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. The woodcutter's so busy cutting trees, they never stop to sharpen their saw. They get less and less efficient, more and more tired.
Until they just can't cut anymore, or it takes immense effort.
Right. Taking time out to sharpen the saw to renew yourself isn't downtime. It's essential maintenance for peak performance. It actually makes you more productive in the long run.
Covey breaks down renewal into 4 key areas. Physical,
Taking care of your body. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management. Your physical energy is fundamental to everything else, like keeping your car well maintained, feeding your mind, reading, learning, writing, planning, visualizing, challenging your own thinking, keeping your mind sharp and growing. Like tending a garden needs regular cultivation.
emotional, or social emotional sometimes.
Yes. Nurturing your relationships, practicing empathy, habit 5, seeking win-win, habit 4, spending time with loved ones, practicing forgiveness, building emotional resilience, connecting with others, and managing your inner world.
And spiritual.
Connecting with your core values, your sense of purpose, habit 2. This might be through meditation, prayer, spending time in nature, listening to inspiring music, clarifying your values, engaging in meaningful service, whatever connects you to your deeper self and purpose.
And these 4 areas are interconnected, right? Neglecting one affects the others.
Absolutely. If you're physically exhausted, it's hard to be mentally sharp or emotionally patient. If your relationships are strained, it affects your physical and mental well-being. You need balance across all 4 dimensions for optimal renewal.
Why is this the ultimate success habit, as Covey suggests?
Because without renewal, everything else grinds to a halt eventually. You can have the best car in the world, great habit skills, but if the battery is dead, you're burnt out, it's useless. Sharpening the saw keeps the battery charged.
It ensures you have the capacity, the energy, the clarity, the resilience to actually live the other 6 habits consistently over the long haul.
Exactly. It's the principle of continuous improvement applied to yourself.
So just to recap quickly, the 7 habits. Be proactive.
Take responsibility. Choose your response.
Begin with the end in mind.
Have a clear vision and purpose.
Put first things first.
Prioritize and execute on what matters most.
Think win-win.
Seek mutual benefit in interactions.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Practice empathic communication.
Synergize.
Leverage differences through creative cooperation.
And sharpen the saw.
Continuously renew yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Covey presents this whole set as a blueprint, really. A framework for an effective, fulfilling life. Becoming a leader, an inspiration.
It's a holistic model. Each habit builds on the others, creating this upward spiral of growth and effectiveness.
And the final challenge he leaves you, listener, with, is this choice. Are you going to live on autopilot, maybe making excuses?
Just reacting to life?
Or are you going to consciously apply these habits? Intentionally build a life of success, purpose, meaning?
It's a call to action, isn't it? Start today. Invest in yourself. Your future self will thank you.
It's a profound choice to make. Not just once, but every day.
Absolutely. Intentional living versus drifting. These habits provide the tools for intentionality.
So, wrapping up our deep dive today, the core message is clear, isn't it? These 7 habits, they offer a really powerful path.
A time-tested framework for personal and interpersonal effectiveness. Truly transformative potential if you engage with them seriously.
And for you listening, we really hope this exploration has given you some valuable insights. Not just theory, but a practical roadmap.
Something you can use to become more proactive, more purposeful, more effective in your own life, starting now.
The next step really is yours, though. Maybe reflect on which habit stood out most to you right now.
Yeah, which one feels most relevant or maybe most challenging for you at this moment?
And then just pick one small thing, one tiny step you can take today to start putting that habit into practice. Don't try to overhaul everything at once.
Small, consistent steps. That's how real change happens. Build momentum.
And remember, this is a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Self-improvement, effectiveness, it's not a destination you arrive at.
It's an ongoing process. Continuous learning, applying, reflecting, renewing, sharpening the saw.
So embrace that journey. Apply these principles in your own unique way. The potential for growth that lies within you is really quite amazing.